And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Stephen Logreira. Stephen, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule so we can chat, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy to be here.
It is going to be a great conversation because you'll find out very quickly, Stephen is an expert at one of the things that you hear me talking about all of the time, which is systems. And Stephen, you haven't hung around me that long, but the phrase that I normally tell business owners is, profits don't grow your business. Systems do. And the right systems will generate the profits and give us the lifestyle we want. But so many business owners aren't running on systems. And I know that's what you're masterful at, automating your business system. So let's dive into it. Tell us, Stephen, how in the world did you get to do what you're doing today?
Oh my goodness. How long do we have?
Give me the highlights.
It's just a series. It's just a series of progression. So, I have a degree in computer engineering and a minor in business and business administration. So, back in 2005, when the market began to crash in the States, I was in real estate back then. Okay. Well, I was, I got out of college, worked for IBM. That's how I ended up in Minnesota. We were having that conversation.
Right.
That's how I got to Minnesota. From Miami in January. Just picture that one.
Bad move, but that's all right.
And then got laid off, and somebody turned me on to a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And it's all about real estate, so I got into real estate. Then decided to get into the most difficult, most time-consuming, and just laborious part of real estate, which was negotiating short sales. So when the market crashed and people were under, we were negotiating their debt and getting them out from under that. And it was very, very paperwork intensive. We used to go through an entire box of paper in 1 month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So and this was back into 2005 to 2010 when the market started recovering. But I quickly figured out that if we didn't have systems and technology, and this is technology back then, that it would be impossible to really scale that business. So we were able to reduce. It used to take us about 4 hours to put together this entire financial package that we sent into the bank.
Right.
We reduced it down to less than an hour.
Wow.
And we were able to, most real estate agents would be able to negotiate 3 or 4. We were able to scale it up to 20
because of automation.
Yeah, with and just with 4 of us. So quickly I learned the power of systems and leveraging the right technology to help with those systems. And then that's important. That's one of the key things I want to talk about today.
Okay.
A lot of people start with the technology first and then try to fit it into their business.
Yeah.
And they do things a little bit different. So after that, I almost it was very intensive. When the market started recovering, I was like, okay, what am I going to do when I grow up? Because I don't want to keep doing this.
Right.
So my wife moved to Canada. I followed her thinking, hey, we'll do something different, and then had to completely reinvent myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I didn't have a work permit, so I couldn't work. I couldn't get a job, and I had to figure something out. So a friend of mine told me about this website called Elance.
Yeah.
Which is now Upwork. So basically, just doing freelance work and just getting hired on the contract. It's online, so I'm not taking a job from a Canadian. So it's a big deal. Right. The Canadian government's kind of weird about that. So I started looking through there, and what was most is this thing called WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'd heard about it, but I was like, okay, WordPress. So so I started going on YouTube. YouTube knows everything.
It's on my Google. That's why. Yeah.
Well, they're owned by Google.
Yeah.
And then I started figuring out how to do this thing, WordPress, and then I finally got my first gig. Completely fumbled my way through it, and got my first gig building a membership site.
Okay. Yeah.
Free learning. And that's how I got started. So I started building membership sites, got really good at it, built quite a few of them, and then I realized that I was building these things for people, and they were not using it. They weren't making any money off of it. Because there's this thing called marketing.
Marketing.
If you build it, they will not come.
That's right. Amen. Yeah.
So then I got into funnel building. I got involved with a gentleman by the name of Imana Guy. He does this. Now he has this course called the Ultimate Course Formula, and it's all about launching your course, and of course it's e-learning and marketing and all kinds of stuff. So figured out really quickly that marketing was a good thing, but I also realized that marketing has a lot of moving parts.
Just a couple.
You got to understand copywriting. You got to understand graphic design. You got to understand just the technology part.
Yeah.
So I was always a technology guy. So I was good with one part, but I realized that I'm not a good copywriter, and I'm not a graphic designer. I just don't have that eye for for design, and that's okay.
I'm with you.
So a few years ago, I started a mastermind here in Vancouver, and a gentleman by the name of Dan Locke had he had this mastermind, and within that mastermind, his whole thing was about doing high ticket sales. He's very polarizing, so either you love him or you hate him, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It was a good experience.
That's good marketing. Honestly, it's good marketing.
Good marketing. We hit we launched this course called High Ticket Closer, and we hit the 2 Comma Club in ClickFunnels in about 3 months.
Wow. Congratulations.
For those of you who don't know what the 2 Comma Club is, basically you hit over the 3 Comma Club, you hit over $1 million.
Yeah.
In sales. Right?
Yeah.
Or is it 100?
Yeah. Anyway, no, it's $2 million in a single funnel, right? I think is what it is. The 2 Comma Club.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we hit the 2 Comma Club, and then the course went really, really well. The launch and thereafter, and then I got I put together a CRM system and a bunch of technologies just for our salespeople to be able to sell the course, because we were selling it over the phone or in Zoom. And then I was like, I learned this skill. I definitely became a much better closer, like really understanding the whole mentality and the attitude behind being a good closer. And I started working for a coach, selling a program on relationships, right? Divorce, that kind of stuff. And we were getting about 30 leads a week. So the marketing was spot on, and we were putting all that in a Google sheet.
A Google sheet. Okay, there you go. It works, but
yeah, I mean, it works to a certain extent. And then at some point, it's just so I was trying to color code and do pivot tables and just do as much as I could with that. But at the end of the day, if I didn't close, there's this whole thing called the 1 call close. If I didn't do the 1 call close and the 1 phone call, the probability of closing, it just didn't go. And the fact is the 1 call close is nice, but it's not the norm.
It's right? Not the norm. That's right.
Like the stars and the moon and everything has to line up for you to be able to close in the first try. And they already know who you are, or you come highly referred.
That's right. Yeah, those are the easy
Tony Robbins could do 1 call closes all day long.
Yep.
But he's Tony Robbins.
That's right.
And he can sell $10,000. He can sell $10,000 program on a sales page, for crying out loud. I mean, that's crazy. Anyways, so I built this system for myself, and I literally within a couple months I tripled my sales, and I reduced my admin time by 80%.
Wow.
And then I decided, this is really cool. And, I love doing, I love technology, and I love tinkering with stuff. And it was fun to sell for a while, but I didn't want to just do that. So that's where the SPA system was born. I call it sales process automation. And then, so I've been doing that. I've been doing that ever since, refining things. And then I discovered something interesting. A lot of, especially small business, tend to kind of collapse marketing and sales into the same bucket. And it's not like that at all. I think sales and marketing is a relay race.
That's good. That is good. Yeah.
Marketing generates a lead. At some point, passes the baton over to sales. Then sales takes that all over to the finish line.
Yeah.
And the processes and the system and the technology is different. Right. So you got to take all that into account.
Love it.
The other thing I realized is that people were buying, especially, small business owners, they go to the seminar, they get the, the technology, and they get the seminar special, and they all jump into the bandwagon.
Yep.
Especially this one company that can be confusing.
Yes, very much so. Yes.
I'm not not
That's
gonna
okay.
name any names. But yeah, and then people would, they would buy this thing, and all of a sudden it just sit there, and
Yeah.
thousands of dollars later, they're like, you know what, I found out, yeah, I need to get rid of this thing because I'm not using it, right? So what I realized is, starting with the tech first, and that's what I originally did with my clients, with funnels and everything, and even with the sales process, is that unless you have a process and a system, and when I talk about system, I'm not talking about technology. I'm just talking about a way of, step-by-step way of doing things. That's a system and a process, and and a system inside of the process.
Right.
That unless they were really clear on what that was, then it's really easy to pick the technology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Think about real estate. We're talking earlier about buying your perfect, your piece of land in, what was it, Tahiti or
It was
Bali?
Tahiti. Yeah.
Tahiti, right? So picture this: you buy your plot of land in Tahiti, and you're in front of the beach, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna build my dream home. And then you call your local contractors. Hey, Mr. Contractor, can you build me a house? What's the first thing he's gonna say?
Where is it?
No.
No.
You already have the land. You showed it.
Oh,
to
I've already got the
him.
land. Yeah. What
He's
kind of
gonna
house
ask
do you want? What kind of house do you want?
Exactly. And so in order for you to give him that, you need a blueprint,
Yes.
right? So you hire the architect and the engineer first to build you the blueprint. Then you say, Mr. Contractor, here's the blueprint.
Yeah.
Right? With technology, unfortunately, people, they hire the contractor before they really know, before they've architected this thing, right? So the right way to pick technology is understand what you're trying to do. What is it that you want to achieve? I call it the what, the why, and the how. Like,
Yeah.
what problem am I solving? Why am I solving it? Right. And then if you're clear on that, then you can do the how. In my case, of course, is, how do we implement the right technology
Right.
to do whatever it needs to do. Right. And if you think about it from a process standpoint, human beings, we cannot survive without processes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In our regular life, we call them routines.
Yes.
Right. We wake up in the morning, brush our teeth, take a shower, or maybe the other way around,
Yeah.
have breakfast, right? We follow a certain routine, right? And even to have success within your routines, like if you really want to be successful, now you have to be really intentional about routines, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you read success, people say, exercise in the morning and maybe spend 30 minutes reading or meditating, and things that will help your mind.
Yes.
Right. Again, now these are intentional routines. In business, we do the same thing. We have processes. We have certain way of doing things, right? And if we don't have standard operating procedures, standard ways of doing these processes and things in your business, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Especially when you start bringing in team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not as much, I mean, it is delivering consistency is great, but it also is that customer experience, because when you can do the same thing over and over in a certain way, it delivers a better customer experience, which leads to probably more repeat business and more referrals and all that, because nobody does this.
I mean, think about this. McDonald's is run by 16-year-olds.
Oh, I know it. Yeah. It's crazy.
16-year-old kids run McDonald's.
Multi-million-dollar organizations, because it's based on systems. And their checklist it doesn't have to be complex to get the system down. And I love what you said there initially. You got to know your process and system. So last week I was at an event and somebody came up to me and says, Michael, what CRM should I need to know? Or should I buy? I'm like, I don't know. What are you trying to do? Exactly. Same thing. And he said, well, what's the next step? I said, the next step is for you to open up a Google Doc and list out what is your current process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. What happens today? Exactly. And then we can have a conversation. And he kind of looked at me. I said, I know that's not the answer you were hoping for, but it is the right answer. because I
Exactly.
can't do anything until you give me that, right? And that's where business owners just we don't understand the importance of systems, number one, and then number two, automating those systems. Because
Mhm.
most of what we do in business can be automated so that
Yeah.
we don't, and that's how you freed up 80% of your time.
Mhm.
So
And then it was really getting clear on what that process was. So in business, you got to look at again processes, but there's 5 systems that are very 5 processes that are very identifiable. One of them is your marketing process, right?
mhm,
That's the first thing. You got to figure out your marketing.
yep,
People, how do people find you, right? If you don't have that, you don't have a business.
yeah,
Now, one of the things that when you solve a problem, you create a new one,
yep,
right? So now you're generating all these leads. Now you got to have a sales process to
yeah,
make sure that you have a place to where a place to store these leads, like a database. And that's a certain way of doing things. So making sure you contact, is there a pre-qualification process? Once you get into the sales conversation and you ask for the sale, basically 3 answers.
yeah,
They say yes, they say no, they say maybe,
mhm,
right? If they say yes, do you have an onboarding process?
right,
And then do you have a fulfillment process?
mhm,
Here's another one that people don't think about. Do you have a re-engagement process after that?
yeah,
Right? Because it's easier to enroll existing customers in more products and services than to always be getting new customers. And that's the biggest thing is attrition. And a lot of business owners like, well, I worked with this one. Let me go to the next one. Let me go to the next one.
right,
If people are raving fans, they want to continue learning from you, and you're almost taking it away from them by not giving them more and more and more. Right. So
that's right,
having a re-engagement process, which is like marketing, but it's a different message
it's a
because they
different
already know,
message,
like, and trust you. So it's much
right,
easier to bring them into something new. Right.
mhm,
So if you look at those 5 identifiable processes, and then you literally, like you said, list them, one by one. And then from a technology standpoint, again, I come from a background of engineering, right? And you could say the same thing for if I'm building an electronic widget, right? First, there's like, what am I building and why? Great. Then out of that, the engineers build a schematic, and then they give it to the technician. Imagine if you just have a bunch of, resistors and transistors and chips and stuff like that, and then you're like, I want to build something. What am I building? Well, you kind of need a schematic,
yeah,
right? Same thing. So build out the process, map it out from a technology standpoint. Once you understand what happens inside of the process, and again, when I talk about automation, I'm not talking about autopilot,
right,
right? Again, what's your process, and how are you addressing that process with technology? Marketing can be fully autopilot,
totally,
100%, right? Sales, on the other hand, sales is about relationships, right? You're talking to customers, unless you're selling something out of a sales page, something like that. But most high ticket products and services, I always recommend, get on the phone with these people, so they
totally,
get to know you, like you, and trust you, right? But then now you have to have a process around that. And when you implement technology during the sales process, it's more about how do you save 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there. How do you save mental energy?
mhm,
Oh, I remember. Oh, I have a really good
no,
memory.
you don't,
Exactly. When you have 3 clients or 4 clients, and yeah, you can remember everything. But when you start scaling your business, you're 15 and 20, and then you got people who work under you and they have
right,
responsibilities. Yeah, now you need systems and processes. And again, for your onboarding, it's interesting how many times, I bought a program or something like that, and the experience, my God, the experience. I remember signing up for, I can't remember her name now, but anyways, I signed up because somebody said, hey, go to the seminar. And first thing I do as soon as I signed up is I get a phone call.
mm,
Hey, Steven, just checking in, making sure that you have your hotel and your airline and everything, and if there's anything we could do. So it was so organized and so systematized. The way they sent the emails, when they sent the text, the fact that somebody called me, it was impressive. So the customer experience was above and beyond. And then there's other things that, I've signed up for, and then, maybe it was like an online course and the user ID and password get lost, and you call and nobody answers. And, even some of the more well-known platforms, at some point they were really good, and then all of a sudden the customer service is on, right?
Yep.
So the onboarding is really, really important. And then depending on what you're doing, so if you're manufacturing something, right, then your fulfillment process.
Yep.
Again, figure out what that is, and then find the right tech if that's going to help you do that. For example, project management software, things like that. Right. Sometimes people use their CRM for project management.
Yeah.
It's like, no. To a certain extent, you can maybe follow things if your CRM has like a Kanban, which is like basically you can move things around, but it's not meant for that. It's meant to track your it's meant to track your sales process, your pipeline as you're going through, right? So I started with, people say yes, you kind of went into that. What do they say no? Well, what does no mean? Is it not right now?
Right.
Right. And if it's not right now, by when?
Right.
And do you have a system to make sure that when that person's ready to pull the trigger, that they can move forward? Here's some interesting stats about sales. 3% of the people are ready to buy.
Yep.
They're just waiting for you to come along to buy from you.
Yep.
Right. They got their credit card in hand, just finding the right person. 47% are, I think I need this, but I'm not sure. I know I have a problem, but I have a rock in my shoe, but I can live with it.
Right.
I know it hurts a little bit, but I can walk. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, they got to take the rock out. So taking the rock out is a 3%. And then there's the other 50% that they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right. They're like, something's in my shoe, but I don't know what that is.
Right.
Right. And the idea is to turn the 50% into the 47% into the 3%.
Yeah. And systems help you really, 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 because I focus a lot of my clients come to me focusing most of their time, effort, energy, money, and marketing on the 3%. And if they don't buy today, I need another one. And it's like, okay, you always have to be ready to service the 3%, but we always try to focus on that 47% because statistically, they're going to buy somewhere in the next 3 months to 3 years.
Yeah, that's where the money's at. Here,
that is where the money's at.
Let me give you some interesting statistics on follow-up. Right, 2% of people buy on the first contact.
Yeah.
3% on the second contact, 5% third contact, 10% fourth contact, 80% between the 5th and 12th contact.
Yeah. No wonder business owners are struggling.
Yeah. Just follow up. And here's the thing. It's not, this is where having the right technology in place saves you the mental energy. You don't have to remember this stuff because the system remembers that for you.
Well, and you create it one time. I mean, my audience, Stephen, I preach systems, and in an automated system to follow up, you write it one time and it's automated. You're done. Now you can always go back and tweak it, but once it's set, it's set. You can do that for every one of them.
But it could be a manual thing. So for example, is part of your process picking up the phone and calling the customer every 6 months.
Yeah. But then how do you automate that so it pops into my calendar or my inbox that day to go, hey, Michael, call Stephen. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Here's his phone number. Here's what you need to talk about. All of this can be automated because we use too much brain power to try to remember this. Dude. No.
Use your brain power to do your genius to
exactly
do what it is that you do, and service the customers with excellence.
And that's why I appreciate you and what you do and the way you think, because you're not just selling some software that helps you automate it. It's like, no. Help me understand what you're trying to accomplish. And so talk to me for as we start winding up 2 or 3 minutes of when a business owner reaches out to you, what are some of the questions you're going to talk with them about to see, are you even a good fit for them, right?
Yeah. I just first look at where are they at. I mean, have they solved the marketing issue? Because I focus on the sales process. I mean, I can help them with the marketing, but typically what I focus is on the sales process. What happens after the lead comes in?
Good.
All the way through closing and follow up and re-engagement and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like the first question is, okay, how's your marketing? How's your lead generation? And typically the sort of the litmus test is, I don't have a way to track anything. I don't have a way to re-engage. I don't have to like they may have they don't have any processes or systems, but they're getting leads. The other one is they have systems, they have technology, but it's kind of piecemeal.
Yes.
I call it they have a puzzle, but they have all the pieces of the puzzle, but they've never seen the box, the cover,
There
right?
you go. Yeah. So they don't know what to do with it. Right.
Yeah,
Well,
they
yeah.
don't know what's going to look like, but they just have all this stuff, right? And the other one is they have all this stuff, but they're really not using it. They're not really engaged. But this is more on the, when you got teams and nobody's really using it, there's no buy-in. So I work with them at that point. So the first thing I do with a client before we ever talk technology, because that's always a second thing for me, is let's understand your process and let's map it out.
Yeah.
So I take all my clients through what I call a sales process deep dive.
There you go.
And inside of that, we look at, okay, do you have technology? Do you not have technology? Can we use what you have? Or do we need to literally throw the baby out with the bathwater and just start over?
Start over. Yeah.
And then once I have this, then I know what I'm building.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's super easy. So that takes care of, there's a term in the industry called scope creep. That means that you promise something and then all of a sudden it just blows up on you.
Yep.
And you really didn't specify the terms.
Yes.
When I have the schematic, Mr. Customer, this is what I'm building you. If you want something else, we can definitely have another conversation and then move forward after that.
Right.
So what it did when I finally realized this formula, and this, of course, third is training.
Okay.
Train them specifically on what they're doing. So I like to use an analogy, right? And sometimes this disappears, but this is a cell phone.
Okay. There you go.
How many apps do you have on your cell phone right now?
Oh gosh. 3 pages worth.
Exactly. How many of them do you use?
About 2.
Right? So imagine that you've never seen one of these devices, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I have this device as like a little mini computer. And the 3 of those things you do is you send email, you browse the web, and you text.
Yeah. There you go.
What if I just say, hey, here's this thing. I'm going to set this up for you, like configure it so you can text and email and browse the web, and I'll train you how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, you might order food, or every once in a while, you might go to the Amazon app, right? Those are the secondary apps that you use every once in a while. Once you understand how to do the calling and you learn how to use your phone, then we can start training you on how to use the other apps.
Right.
Right. So
That's
then
great.
we map it out. We go through the sales process deep dive. Then we build you the system. Then we train you on how to use the system specifically for your process.
Wow. That's huge. That in and of itself right there is huge, because I know a lot of business owners who don't have a CRM system at all. They don't know what to do. And I know a lot of people who buy a system and they don't use it because they don't know what to do. And it sounds like you help people, in a sense, to pull back, to have a conversation with somebody who, and that's the other thing, is too many times in business, we try to figure out ourselves. Don't do that. Stop it. Go and connect with Steven and say, can we have a conversation? Here's what's going on, and see if he's a good fit. See if he can help you out, because you get this solved. You get this fixed in your business. You could be a member of the 2 Comma Club, because your business is going to be set up to grow. Because again, profits don't grow a business, but systems do. Steven, you're obviously a master at systematizing businesses and helping people with processes and things. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way for somebody to say, man, this is intriguing, I'd like to talk to this guy?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also email me. My email is Steven with a V, STEVEN at automatemysalesprocess.com.
Love it. Automatemysalesprocess.com is his
Or you can
website.
go to the website, and there you can go to, just fill out the contact, schedule a call.
That's awesome.
Go to my calendar, and then you can pick a time, and then we can have a conversation, see how I can help you with your processes. And look, I'm not, again, I'm not a one-stop shop. And what I can guarantee my clients is that if we have a conversation, I will let you know whether I can help you, or, I have tons of resources. If I can't help you, I can at least point you in the right direction.
That's awesome.
My ultimate goal is, I want people to have successful businesses, and and of course, leverage technology, because you can't scale a business without leveraging technology.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. So reach out to him, automatemysalesprocess.com. Stephen, thank you so much for a great, great conversation.
You're welcome.